The restaurant glowed like something out of a dream. Chandeliers glittering above rows of white linen tables, violins humming softly in the background. Every head turned slightly when Ella Morgan walked in. Not because she was glamorous, because she wasn't. Her coat was 2 winters old, her shoes scuffed, her hair twisted into a messy bun held by a pen. Her cheeks were pale from exhaustion, 12 hours on her feet at the hospital, and a small patch of dried paint clung to her sleeve from the art classes she taught at the community center on weekends. She hesitated at the entrance, clutching her small canvas bag like a shield. "Table for Mr. Hayes," she murmured. The hostess gave her a skeptical look. "Do you have a reservation under your name, ma'am?" Ella forced a smile. "No, under his." A pause. Then the faintest sigh. "Right this way." At the far end of the room sat Adrian Hayes, CEO of Hayes Industries, a man whose name lived in newspapers and whose face was known in boardrooms across the city. He was dressed in charcoal gray, his posture perfect, his expression cool and unreadable. He didn't notice her at first. He was scrolling through his phone, half expecting to be stood up again. Another socialite match arranged by his well-meaning friends. They always came with perfume and polished words, all surface and no soul. Then he looked up and froze. The woman walking toward him wasn't what he expected. Not remotely. No diamond earrings, no red lipstick. Just nervous eyes, soft and genuine, and a kind of vulnerability that made the room seem to quiet around her. "Mr. Hayes?" she asked, voice small but steady. He rose automatically. "You must be Ella?" She nodded, biting her lip. "I, hope it's okay that I came. Sophie, my friend, she was supposed to be your date tonight. She couldn't make it, so she kind of sent me." He blinked once, then smiled faintly. "So I've been stood up and rescued in the same night. Interesting." Her shoulders relaxed a little. "You're not mad?" "I was prepared to eat alone," he said simply, gesturing to the seat across from him. "You've improved my plans." She sat down, awkward but smiling. The waiter approached, eyeing her with polite confusion, but Adrian's calm tone left no room for judgment. "Whatever the lady wants," he said. Ella opened the menu and nearly dropped it. "Oh my God," she whispered. "This soup costs more than my entire grocery budget." He chuckled. "Then it must be excellent." She laughed, a sound so natural and bright it made his chest tighten. She wasn't trying to charm him. She wasn't performing. She was just real. They talked. About small things at first, traffic, the rain, the absurd price of bottled water, and then somehow, about life. She told him about her patients, the elderly woman who refused medicine unless Ella promised to visit her cat, the little boy who called her Nurse Sunshine. He told her, almost shyly, that his days felt gray no matter how much money he made. When she smiled softly and said, "Maybe you just need a different kind of work," he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. By dessert, something had changed. The powerful CEO used to control and distance, found himself wishing the night would never end. The city had quieted by the time they left the restaurant. Rain shimmered on the cobblestones, reflecting the soft glow of street lamps. Adrian walked beside her, holding an umbrella, while Ella kept glancing nervously at the valet where expensive cars lined up. "So," she said, half laughing, "I bet your dates don't usually show up wearing hand-me-downs and frizzy hair." He looked at her for a long moment. "You look perfect," she blinked. "You're joking." "I'm not." His voice was gentle. "Everyone else dresses like they're auditioning for me. You showed up like you had nothing to prove." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Because I didn't. I wasn't supposed to be here." "Maybe you were," he said softly. They reached the curb. A sleek black car pulled up. She stared at it, then at him. "That's yours, right?" He nodded. "Figures," she murmured with a rueful smile. "I take the bus." Without thinking, he said, "Maybe I could drive you home." She shook her head quickly. "No, people like you shouldn't see where I live." "People like me?" he echoed. She sighed. "The kind who can buy a new world every morning. I'm the kind who just tries to survive one." There was no self-pity in her voice, just quiet honesty. It hit him harder than any insult. He shrugged off his coat and placed it over her shoulders. "Then let's start with this world. Right now, one we can share." She froze, the warmth of the fabric soaking into her skin. "Why me?" she whispered. He smiled faintly. "Because you're the first person I've met in years who made me forget who I'm supposed to be." For a moment, they just stood there, the rain whispering around them, her heart racing, his eyes soft and unguarded. When her bus finally arrived, she handed him his coat. He shook his head. "Keep it," he said. "I'll need an excuse to see you again." She laughed, small and shy. "You really think I'll say yes to a second date?" "I think," he said, stepping closer, "you already have." And as she boarded the bus, turning back to wave through the fogged window, he felt something he hadn't in years: hope. That night, in a penthouse full of silence, the CEO replayed every second of that dinner. The laughter, the honesty, the girl with worn shoes and a heart made of gold. For the first time in a long, lonely life, Adrian Hayes realized he didn't fall for wealth, power, or beauty. He fell for truth, wrapped in thrift store fabric, smiling at him across a table full of candles.